Could Trump be president for life? If conservatives get their way, that's exactly what they'll get. Peter Cenk, a right-wing writer, made the argument in The American Conservative this week that Trump should be eligible for a third term. He wrote, as the primary season has shown us, the Republicans have not moved on from Trump. Yet, the 22nd Amendment works to constrain their enthusiasm by prohibiting them from rewarding Trump with re-election 4 years from now. He continues, the case of Donald Trump, however, makes an even more forceful ethical argument against the 22nd Amendment and for its repeal. If a man who once was president returns after a series of years to stand again for the office and prove so popular as to earn a second non-consecutive term, as Trump seems bound to do, to deny him the right to run for a second consecutive term cuts against basic fair play. If by 2028, voters feel Trump has done a poor job, they can pick another candidate, but if they feel he delivered on his promises, why should they be denied the freedom to choose him once more? In the piece, Cenk acknowledges that the 22nd Amendment was a response to FDR's 4 terms, but argues those who supported the amendment more than 70 years ago could not have foreseen the prospect of a one-term president who lost the office, but who later regained it in a subsequent election. In response to the piece, Madeline Peltz of Media Matters pointed out that the American Conservative publishing this column illustrates the broader anti-democratic scheme on the right. The American Conservative is a partner in Project 2025, the conservative movement's comprehensive transition plan for the next Republican presidency. Project 2025, organized and led by the Heritage Foundation, a leading right-wing think tank, is a policy and staffing initiative that threatens to weaken democracy, significantly roll back civil rights, and exacerbate climate change, among other issues. And the arguments that Trump should only be able to serve, or should be able to serve more than 2 terms, or the fact that he could be a dictator for a day, as he lays out, aren't really fringe ideas. TYT's Michael Shore talked to Trump supporters, and this is what they told him.
Would you rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years or re-elect Joe Biden for 4 years?
I would rather have Donald Trump. I'd like to see the repeal the Roosevelt law so that he can be a president for a lot more than 4 years.
I think I'm choosing Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 more years.
4 years of a dictator Trump.
Yeah, I'm going dictator Trump for sure.
I'd rather have Donald Trump as a dictator for 4 years, absolutely.
Trump as a dictator.
Sometimes in life, we all need a good paddling from the principal.
Wow. So I want to get both of your thoughts on both the argument, but also the need for paddling. Who wants to go first?
Well, the paddling is not my department. I don't endorse paddling of any kind.
Pausing here to deliver some honest truth as we do in our news coverage as well. TYT is facing challenges, guys, as the entire industry is. You know who could make the difference? You. If you hit the join button below, it's gonna make all the difference and keep us in business. We appreciate you, thank you.
It's true that the Heritage Foundation is behind an effort to essentially dismantle the institutions of government, and I know that the institutions of government can be frustrating to all of us. You can start with the Electoral College and the 2-party system, and you can go into government and find a lot of things way beyond that I'd open the hood on. But that said, the notion somehow that you would start at the top and find in this guy who is already being worshipped by the right some loophole-ish or loophole adjacent, I don't know what to call it, because he didn't serve consecutive terms, somehow he should be entitled to additional terms. It's absurd, but it is true what was said, that the Heritage Foundation, and with ideas like this, they are launching a full-on dismantling of government and the institutions of government. So leave that aside. I'm talking about underlying restrictions on toxins in the soil, in the water, in the air, at EPA, through consumer protections, et cetera. So look at this as yet another flavor of them essentially taking apart American democracy and the institutions of American government, the protections and civil rights that we all have. This is absolutely on tune for them.
Yeah, I worked at the Hoover Institute one summer for a professor named Terry Moe, who was basically the guy who thought that the president should have unbridled power. And I just took the job because it paid, and I was doing research. I was like, this is horrible. And I always was shocked from that moment on that the conservatives are the ones who typically say that the government should have less power. There should be a smaller government, get rid of it, it shouldn't be in our lives. But then they go about systematically dismantling any checks on the president, and they give the person with the most power as much power, and then they unbridle him as much as possible. It just doesn't make any sense to me. This small government group always pretends that they want small government, meaning the government should have less power, but all the policies that they end up advocating for are like, no, give them more power than the Democrats would. Democrats, the left is more like, let's have the government do more things for people. Hell, we're paying for it already. And the Republicans are like, let's just get rid of it. I think it's so funny that they said like, well, you can never, Americans had no way to fathom that a president would win, then leave the office and then come back. I hate to tell you about a guy named Grover Cleveland, because it happened. That guy did that thing that he said, there's no way anyone could know about this 70 years ago. It happened to Grover Cleveland. That's a real bit of American history.
Look at Brett breaking out the Grover Cleveland knowledge.
It's
very
my
impressive.
grandfather's name, so you kind of have to know.
I see. That's it's I do think it's sort of absurd the way Trump, if you just did the arithmetic, would be so old for a third term. So he'd be well into his 80s. And this is the party that's drawing attention to Biden being too old as he's just sort of entered his 80s. So there's a certain absurdity to it, just as a practical matter with this guy that they seem to worship. But it's absolutely, as Brett suggests, a power grab. It's all a power grab. It's a power grab any way they justify it, rationalize it, explain it. It is all a power grab.
He acknowledges that point in the piece. He says, well, if you're worried about Trump's age, well, Biden is that age right now. So that's a wash. He acknowledges with this argument that we're making against Biden right now won't count when it's applied to us in 4 years.
It's just so weird. I also like this thing is like someone had to write this. And this guy's like, I might as well. You know, someone's gonna write. And this is how a lot of their messaging works. Someone writes something like this, which sounds so dumb. Especially because it's the first time you hear it. But just like a stink in a room, they just keep that stink in the room, hoping that you will go nose blind to it. And before you know it, Trump's a president.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.